Time now to talk politics with Wes Brown and Steve Brawner. They cover the Capitol for us. Welcome, gentlemen. Good to have you with us and not here up in the Capitol corridors up there. We got a lot to talk about.
Yeah. Let's do it.
You guys have been busy.
We have.
Let's begin with the Martin Luther King, Robert E. Lee holiday split. The governor came and testified this week. A little bit of a surprise timing on the announcement there. Wes Brown, does it pass this time? Does the King-Lee holiday split?
I think it's going to be, as the governor said, it's going to be an uphill battle. I think he did a great job in laying out the reason why it should be passed, and then he came. He probably his strongest statement yet, and then he came and went to committee and promoted it. And once you don't see the governor come to a committee hearing
not very often.
Once or twice, maybe a session, and when they do, they expect that bill to pass.
Yeah, at least out of the committee. What do you think, Steve? Does it get to his desk this time?
I think it does. I think that the governor is going to put so much of his political capital behind it that ultimately it gets through. I think that, he can make the argument about, he can ultimately make an economic development argument. That's what's going to keep the bathroom bill from getting very far.
Right.
I think he'll make that same argument if he has to. It is an uphill battle, as Wes said, but I think that it's, if the governor really, really wants it, he's still getting it.
He's got everything he wanted this session
so
far.
He's got, in the last session too, so he doesn't lose very often, so we'll see. All right, we're going to put it at 50-50 at this time. How about that? Y'all good with those
I'll
odds?
go 60-40.
60-40?
I'll go 40-60, so that's still in the 50.
All right, 50-50 it is. Let's move on.
I'll change mine to 70-30 now.
Former State Senator John Woods indicted this week. This is wrapped up in something that we've been listening to for more than a year, but certainly for the last 2 months we've known that some additional indictments are coming out of Representative Micah Neal's guilty plea. This is all tied to General Improvement Fund money. Mm-hmm. So, Steve, my question to you first is, do you think this has killed General Improvement Fund funding for this legislative session? Well,
I think that the lack of an obvious surplus is what's really done more to do that than anything else. I mean, what Senator Woods is accused of doing, and Representative Neal's already admitted to doing, was clearly illegal activity. There's no gray area there. So, I don't know if there's so much fear that, we're going to get caught doing the same thing. It's still a fuzzy proposition, but, if it gets killed this session, which it probably will, in the future, legislators will find some way to steer a few local dollars to the people that they want to steer it to in their local district.
What do you think?
Yeah,
Wes?
you got some of that Amazon money is going to come and people. I think once that's
for
kicks
tax
in,
relief, Wes. That's for tax relief.
That's going to be a surplus, I guarantee you, and people are going to be grabbing like there are. There's already 6 bills out there that's been filed that are trying to attach certain needs from tax cuts to pre-K funding to local needs, trying to attach that. And I guarantee you there's going to be some checks signings. They want to get that. They want to say, I help bring this to my community.
Well, speaking of good revenue numbers, we actually did get a good positive month in February earlier this week. About 17% above what was expected in terms of forecast. Most of that due to some timing issues on individual income taxes. Has that changed the mood at the Capitol in terms of maybe a little collar loosened up there and feeling a little more comfortable that they might hit budget?
Yeah, I think Steve and I both, he talked to the governor, I talked to Joe Jett and
House Revenue and Tax Committee.
House Revenue and Tax, and he was like, man, I'm feeling a little better. You feel me? About this. It's still $15 million below forecast, but we still got until June to make that up, and people are feeling a lot better. I don't think they're going to be like the last session, they had to make 1% cuts across the board. I don't think we're going to see anything that drastic.
Yeah, there isn't a contingency plan in place. Let's move to Arkansas Works, Steve. What happens next for Arkansas Works? We're a little bit in limbo with the federal government, but the governor's still got to push his plan forward. He spoke about that this week.
Well, I think we stay in limbo. There is a bill that's gotten through the House that would freeze enrollment on Arkansas Works, but it's only gotten through the House. The governor doesn't want it to go any farther. You'd think that it might not, if he really wants it to stop. The whole health care debate is just sort of stalled. I mean, it has dominated the past few sessions, fiscal included. And this time, it's just not coming up that much. I think that everybody knows that the Trump administration is going to change, and the Congress is going to change health care somehow. We don't know how, but when you don't know what the change is going to be, you might want to wait until before making any kind of drastic change.
I think it's going to be Trump works. That's what's going to happen.
Or Trump care or something like
Yeah.
that. All right, Steve, again, I'm going to come to you directly on this one. First of all, where do we land with medical marijuana? A lot of activity, a lot of bills flying around, and right now a few things that may be contradictory to what the public opinion is.
Well, a Senate panel this week made it illegal to smoke medical marijuana, or they advanced a bill that make it illegal to smoke medical marijuana.
And edibles.
And they also made it illegal for a manufacturer to sell, any kind of edible food that would have marijuana in it. But that's only one committee. These things tend to get through the committee of the on the same body that the legislator is a member of. Often it gets through the full chamber, and then it dies in the other chamber. But anything that changes the medical marijuana amendment's got to have 2/3 majority. And there is enough sense that there's a fear of a backlash among voters that I don't know how far that would go.
Yeah. What do you think, Wes?
I think it's going to go up in smoke.
Exciting little cheat.
Well, the thing that could happen with this is if they don't really, there's nothing really aggressive out there to make it a industry. There's no bills out there that is going to make this aggressive in Arkansas. I think they're going to probably roll out something very weak and to say that we did what the taxpayers asked us to do, but I don't think it'll be anything robust. And I think we may have to come back and revisit it in a special session or two years from now.
Yeah. All right. I don't want to jump ahead to predictions just yet, but I want to give you guys an opportunity. What are we not talking about that we should be talking about at the legislature just because they've been dealing with some other issues? We've got a bill filing deadline coming up on Monday. We're going to see an avalanche?
Well, yeah, the one thing that as a reporter, I'm concerned about is the erosion of the Freedom of Information Act. Arkansas has one of the strongest Freedom of Information Acts in the country, and there are many bills that are just chipping off, and I think there's a concern in that it's going to weaken it, and there's going to be a lack of transparency with government, and that's a concern, not just being a reporter, but as a citizen, I would be concerned about that too.
All right, 30 seconds.
Education, K through 12, is half the budget almost. It's barely been mentioned so far. There's going to be some bills coming up or discussed that are going to be actually a pretty big deal. I think that will become more of an issue as we get to the session.
All right, Steve Brawner, Wes Brown, stick around. We're back with more right after this. Welcome back. I'm Roby Brock. Wes Brown and Steve Brawner are with me here. They cover the Capitol beat for us like nobody else. You can keep up with their work each and every day at talkbusiness.net. By the way, I haven't told you guys, but you've been doing a great job, and so I haven't patted you on the back probably as much as I should. And I'll buy you guys lunch next week. How about that?
That sounds good.
For such a great job that you've been doing. You all right with that? McDonald's for everyone. It's on me.
Meal
So
or whatever.
we'll go. What kind of Happy Meal do you like? All right, let's turn to some political predictions. On Monday, we mentioned earlier there are going to be, that's the bill filing deadline, so we could see some things happen out of that. I'll give you a chance to talk about either a bill prediction or a political prediction of a greater nature. Wes, you go first.
Well, I think there's going to be a lot of crazy bills. We've had the bathroom bill, but I think we've had quite a few gun bills, so I'm thinking they're going to file something to do with pre-K. There's a couple of bills out there with pre-K, but I think there's some concerns that pre-K, higher ed is getting funded very nicely, and I think I think you're going to see some more funds go to pre-K, not the amount that we're expecting, 20 million. There's some predictions out there, but a lesser number. Yeah. I think we'll see that.
I think that's a good prediction there. What do you got, Steve?
Well, I think that whatever we see coming out Monday has not that great a chance of getting through. If it's getting in this late, and we're down to a month before the end of the session, if they already had the kind of support that they knew that they could get it through, they would have already had the bill written and put it through. I'm not saying that something couldn't get through, but time is an issue, and if you're just not getting it out, you have less than a month. Each committee has a lineup of bills that haven't even gone through yet. It's going to be tough to get anything. I think that we're not going to have that many surprises in the last month.
I will say this, we haven't talked a lot about highways, and that was going to be something that I thought this session might try to deal with, but the lack of budget, the fact that some of these other issues have come up and kind of dominated, it's really kind of left highways off the table. So my prediction is kind of, do we see something in highways here before they get out of session? Either one of you care to?
Yeah, there's a couple
venture
of bills out there to kind of address it, but they're kind of shaky, or they're on shaky ground. A bond issue and to raise the taxes, and you're not going to see anything about.
There doesn't seem to be consensus on anything. So.
It's going to be tough to get through at this point. Again, it's out. I think it's supposed to go through committee on Tuesday, but it would involve asking the voters for a tax increase, and I think a lot of legislators are going to be really hesitant to do that.
Yeah. One of the things that has really dominated a lot of our coverage has been the concealed carry on college campuses. It's gone through a couple different iterations as a bill, and I think it's back in the Senate committee now.
Yeah, Judiciary Committee.
Recall correctly. Where do you guys think, we've got about 30 seconds left, where do you think this winds up?
Well, I talked to Garner. I actually think he said, he's kind of shaky on the negotiations taking place. There's two extremes: no training and training. Yeah. And the governor wants some kind of training component. NRA doesn't want. I think you're going to have to file a bill that has no training in it. And I think that you're going to have a pure concealed carry.
Does it pass, yes or no?
Maybe not until 2019.
All right, maybe an interim study there. All right, Wes Brown and Steve Brawner, thank you both very much. Appreciate you. And thank you so much for watching. I'm Roby Brock. That's all for this week's program. We'll see you next time.